Just plugging away. Well, today is Thursday, and that is Tito's Day.
It's time to tell us how you're living like Tito on the Ron and Fez Show.
About 8 years ago, I quit and started my own kind of energy consulting business. To leave that corporate world, for me, it was a big jump.
I quit my job to start the handkerchief shop.
Tito's Handmade Vodka is America's original craft vodka.
And then at 32 years old, I had my first amateur MMA fight. Then I finished the guy in like 2.5 minutes in the first round. I had to walk into my boss's office and tell him I was quitting to start a band with my old friends.
Tito's vodka is probably the best vodka I've ever had. I'm originally from Russia. They call me the Russian.
Visit them at titosvodka.com.
Yeah, it's time to jump into it a little bit. I love the calls that we got last week. Fez, we're giving out some prizes this week. What kind of stuff are we looking at?
We're looking at Bottle Rockets on DVD, signed by Luke Wilson.
First of all, I would... Bottle Rocket is this thing, there's no plural, is probably one of my favorite films of all time. I know that's tough to say because Wes Anderson made so many films, but really, really great film. All right, give me something else we're giving out.
The documentary Tyson, signed by the director James Toback.
That's a weird one here.
And the CD Copperhead Road, signed by Steve Earle.
Love Steve Earle. All right, 866-RON-0-FEZ, 866-RON-0-FEZ. Here's the question I had for you today. Is there something in life, a philosophy that you yourself heard and it's something that you follow? Now, this could be something religious. It could be something from a film, from a book. The stuff from... I remember reading On the Road as a kid and thinking, yeah, I think I do want to be an outlier. I don't want to be part of the whole gang. But a piece that I read years ago by the writer Joseph Campbell, and he wrote The Power of Myth and the Hero with 1,000 Faces. And it's just a simple thing that's actually picked up a lot of steam, and I always bring it up with young people, and that's follow your bliss. Just whatever it happens to be. Now, in my case, I followed my bliss a little too far a couple times. You know what I mean? You have to follow a lot of different blisses, but follow your bliss is something I always think is worth living to. What about for you, Molly? You ever have something that...
Yeah, I've got a sort of like a life philosophy, embarrassingly, that I found on Pinterest, that it was like a sticker. It just said, every sunrise brings new promise and every sunset brings new peace. Basically just that, like, every day is a new day and you got to sort of look at it.
Do you feel that way, though?
I do. In some way. I do feel like, the beginning of a new day feels new and the end of a day feels, like things are, winding down.
Did that help you get through your 7-day war vacation in Israel?
That's what kept me going.
Now, let's look around the room and you look at these guys. Do you think any of our guys have something like that they follow? Is there something like that?
I feel like deep down in Shelby's soul, he's got a motto.
I'm going to think more of a Chris Stanley.
Oh.
And I'm going to think, I might be wrong here, but I think there was something that was said in rock and roll that might matter to Chris Stanley. Shelby is, in my opinion, afraid to hold anything precious. So I doubt that he has it. But let's go to Chris Stanley first. Chris?
Mr. Warren Zevon said, send lawyers, guns, and money. The shit has hit the fan.
That doesn't even make sense.
Yes,
that
it does.
Zero sense to what we're talking about here. That's just a great lyric by Warren Zevon, but very, very little. Here's Kyle. Kyle, you're on the Run and Fez show.
Hey, what's going on, buddies?
Yeah.
First one I got is kind of a hokey one, but it rings true with me. If you love your job, you never work a day in your life. I'm a fishing boat captain, and it's just every day is a blessing being out there.
Where do you go? How long out do you go?
We're usually out for like 5 days at a time, home for 2. We go out to like the continental shelf, like 200 miles out.
Wow. That's wild, dude. 200 miles out.
there. Get to see some crazy stuff.
Like what? What have you seen?
Like pods of dolphins and whales, just like thousands at a time. So the water is just a different color of blue out there. It's just, it's like you're living in a movie out there, man. It's great.
That is unbelievable. And this is something that you decided early on, I just want to have a gig that I love every day.
That's it. Just that.
Kyle, you got to go in. You got to pick something up from us. All right. Let's switch around and put Chris on that because he knew where we were going with all this kind of stuff. I want to keep this bit plugging, moving. It's living like Tito, and the excitement factor of what gets going when you do decide I'm going to make this life count. Tommy in Indiana, you're on the RnF show.
Hey, Ronnie, I just want to talk about, I was a teenager. It was like 1992, I think it came out. It was Henry Rollins talking from the box, and he was talking about his dead friend Joe Cole, who was robbed in a home invasion. And he said, I figure you're not here for very long. It's a cash and carry world, so kick a lot of ass while you're here. And I know that's kind of stupid or whatever when you hear that as a teenager.
But here's the thing, Tommy. Why do we always turn around and apologize on something that moved us? It's like when people say, oh, I have this piece of music that I love that, I'm embarrassed by. Why? If you loved it, why would you have a guilty pleasure? Why would your pleasures bring you any guilt? All this got started because we were talking about Tito, the man who started Tito's Vodka, and he came in and was on the show, and I ended up talking with a lot of artists, film directors, writers, novelists, but sometimes you can forget that the real American dream is that American businessman dream. That if you stick with something that you care about, try to make it great, try to do something different, try to put your stamp on it, you can turn things around. James, what's your philosophy?
Yeah, basically, like, karma's a bitch, so do it right the first time. If you don't do anything wrong, then it can't come back on you.
Let's go over here to, by the way, Kyle on line 4 is the big winner over there if you'd like to get his information. John in Kansas.
Yeah, I can remember this clear as day. I was in high school, and my friend's dad owned a business, and my friend was all worked up about something. His dad, as calm as ever, just said, son, don't sweat the small stuff.
That's a good one.
And then did he give you the PS, it's all small stuff? I've seen that T-shirt. Kendall in Texas.
Ron, I grew up in a evangelical church and the youth group and all of that. And when you were saved was a big deal. And I just could never rectify that in my mind. And I understood grace and I believe in God. And there was a Christian singer by the name of Rich Mullins, and I really dug a lot of his poetry of his lyrics. And he was being interviewed one time, and they asked him, so when did you have your salvation experience? And he got kind of quiet for a second. He said, I hope to have one every day.
Huh.
So every day he wants to be saved.
He wants to renew that relationship with God, to feel that grace every day. And it really changed my philosophy on religion and life ever since. And that was 25 years ago.
Do me one favor, Kendall. Lay on me your version of grace. What's grace for you?
Grace to me is being able to breathe. I mean, it's that simple. To me, grace means that every day when I screw up, when I wrong somebody, or if I just forget or neglect somebody, I failed. And grace is the ability to keep going in spite of failure. And people give us that grace. They allow us to keep being in their lives. My belief is that God gives us grace when we failed in life, and it's just a matter of allowing us to continue that relationship when we don't deserve it.
You know, here's what I always find interesting too, man, when you brought up about being there for other people, is I don't know of a religion in the world, or even a strong philosophy who doesn't put it out there, is like that service of doing things for people is where your own satisfaction come from.
Yeah.
I mean, mine has come different because it's strip mining, and I just feel like if I open up those mountains and rip all that ore out of there, it's a better shot for me.
That brings you grace.
It's time to tell us how you're living like Tito on the Ron and Fez Show.
About 8 years ago, I quit and started my own kind of energy consulting business to leave that corporate world. For me, it was a big jump.
I quit my job to start the handkerchief shop.
Tito's Handmade Vodka is America's original craft vodka.
And then at 32 years old, I had my first amateur MMA fight. And I finished the guy in like 2.5 minutes in the first round. I had to walk into my boss's office and tell him I was quitting to start a band with my old friends.
Tito's vodka is probably the best vodka I've ever had. I'm originally from Russia. They call me the Russian.
Visit them at titosvodka.com.
Hey, Colleen, you're on the Ron and Fez Show.
Hi, Ron. It's
Yeah.
the henna lady.
How are you?
The henna lady. Good. How's it going?
The very pretty henna lady. What's up with you?
Well, I always had read Joseph Campbell when I was in my early 20s, but you kind of reminded me to follow my bliss, and I was a music teacher for years, and finally 3 years ago, I quit my day job to do the henna thing full time, and I've been loving my job every single day since then, and just have been doing it. So
I love it. I love it, darling. Thank you so much for calling us. 866 Ron Zero Fez. 866 Ron Zero Fez. It's living like Tito. Tito's a guy who started a vodka company in Texas, which seems like, I don't know, the worst idea I've ever heard in my life. I certainly, you know how people will say stuff like, I did stuff and everyone told me that I shouldn't.
Yeah.
I would have been one of those guys going, dude, vodka doesn't come from Texas. But what's always interesting is that it's about a product, but then it's about the life that he built around that product, and other people could build their lives around it. And the entrepreneurism in the United States is always interesting to me. Here's Jason. Jason, you're on the Ron and Fez Show.
Hey, what's up, Ron and Fez?
Yeah.
Hey, what theory I go by, philosophy, is either get busy living or get busy dying for Shawshank. Because when I saw that movie, I had broken up with a girl 6 months earlier, and I was in a funk and just not even, I was like, just in a haze, and I didn't want to do anything, and I was just being a bum, living at my parents' house, being a bum, in a crap job, and, once he said that, it sparked something in me, and I was like, I got to do something. I just can't, also I feel like I'm in prison, I kind of got, free from that.
I love the fact that you really can pick up things from fiction all the time. Here's Kent in South Carolina.
Hey guys, what's up? Hey, mine's from a song, Neil Young, Rust Never Sleeps. I think that's a good thing just to kind of, keep in mind. There's another line from that song about, better to burn out than to fade away. Kind of interpreted.
Let's move over here to Kevin in South Carolina. You're on the Ron and Fez Show.
Hi, Ronnie.
Yeah.
Hey, I saw a Billy Joel quote in Time magazine many years ago now. I liked it so much I cut it out and taped it to my mirror. He said at a commencement speech, know what you love and do what you love. If you don't do what you love, you're just wasting your time. And I got two jobs. I like one a whole lot, and I love my part-time job. So
What's the part-time job that you love?
What's that? I'm sorry?
What's the part-time job that you love?
I'm in auto racing. I've been a racing fan my whole life. I work like minor league, dirt track races, and I can't wait to go to that job every weekend. It's very fulfilling, and I deliver, I drive all day. I like what I do. So I had a job once when I was first married. I hated it. I was like, I'm wasting my time here. I quit. I told my wife I quit my job that night. She's like, what did you do? I was like, I'll find a job. I was miserable there, so I quit. So it worked out, but she was a little annoyed with me for a day or so. So I just wanted to tell you my story, Ronnie.
Thanks, my man. Here's Dave in Ohio. How you doing, Dave?
Good.
Yeah.
This is not an employment type story, but in the 80s, I was still living at home. I was probably around 24, 25. This guy had DUI, got up probation, had 365 days or 364 days hanging over my head if I got in trouble again in a year. New Year's Eve, I get another one. So before I go to court, I figure I'm guaranteed going to jail. I wait, fill out my W-2 form, get my income tax back, and flee to Florida with no license, big junk Chrysler car. Move down by Largo, Indian Rocks, sleep in my car in the Winn-Dixie parking lot for a couple of days till I find a car and everything, or find a place to live. Went to Derby Lane, hit a trifecta, moved to Indian Rocks Beach, stayed there 9 years. Seemed like it was like spring break for 9 years, and got all my license back down there, motorcycle license back, everything clean. Now I'm back in Columbus, but eventually I'm going to move back to Florida. And, every day it was like Hooters Radio and YNF on the beach.
Sure, bro. All right, my man. 866 Ron Zero Fez. 866 Ron Zero Fez. Here's our buddy, Hard Rock Johnny. Johnny, how are you?
Good, boys. How are you?
I'm going to say this. You're a guy that never really looks like he's working, and yet you put in a lot of hours.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I put at least 60, 70 hours a weekend, to be honest. It's, so you got to find a balance there. And I kind of have two, and I said one earlier, and it's actually something at our company. It takes time to be kind, and I'm a karma kind of guy, and I'm not always the kindest, but I do really work hard at trying to be nice, and because I just believe in the whole universal karma thing. That's always been my thing. But the other thing is, and you're gonna laugh. I got this out of a fortune cookie at a point where I was trying to make a really big decision in my life.
Okay.
About my surgery and my weight loss surgery, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to do it. And literally, as I was shoveling Chinese food into my fat face, I opened up a fortune cookie, and it said, "Do not be afraid to take that big step." I laminated it. It's in my wallet. I carry it with me all the time. And it really is, sometimes people are scared to take the big step, and you fucking do it, man. Leap and go, and you know what? If you fall, you fall, and sometimes you land on your feet. And, so that's always been, and, again, I almost kind of take that as karma to begin with, where,
right.
The right message came at the right time. And, yeah, I know it's from a fortune cookie, but
why would that be any different than if it was anything else? That's the thing about being awake, right? Like, if you are looking for answers, you'll find them. You know what I mean? Like, if you are saying, I'm looking around for the answers, even if you have no spiritual belief at all, at least it's your brain looking around to see, how can I make this thing connect into my own life?
Yeah.
So obviously that's going to work for you. But Johnny, you must have ate a lot of fucking Chinese food that day too.
Yeah.
And now here's the irony, right? You couldn't eat that cookie today.
I can eat like most of the cookie.
Most of it.
Yeah, well, he had his belly cut out.
Yeah.
How much weight did you lose, Johnny?
185 pounds is where I've kind of landed at 185 pounds down. I'm kind of, I'll go up like 2-3 pounds here.
Right.
Lose
That's
2 pounds
more
there.
than my entire body weight.
Yeah, I know. Don't rub it in.
That wasn't a compliment.
This is what everyone yelled at the same time. But this would have been like if you would have had Molly wrapped around you wherever you walked.
It is
just like a belt.
It's bizarre to say there's some people who do that. They're like, just grab 185 pounds, throw it in a backpack, and walk around with that and see how you feel for the day. And it's like, how did I do that?
I wonder how long you could even last of carrying 185 pounds around till finally you say, I have to drop this. I can't keep doing it.
It's weird to think about, yeah. And I don't know why no one ever told me I was that fat either. I always look at pictures and say, how come no one said anything?
Fez said it constantly.
I tried to tell you.
You just weren't listening. All right, thanks, Johnny.
Thanks, boys.
866 Ron Zero Fez. 866 Ron Zero Fez.
It's time to tell us how you're living like Tito on the Ron and Fez Show.
About 8 years ago, I quit and started my own kind of energy consulting business. To leave that corporate world, for me, it was a big jump.
I quit my job to start the handkerchief shop.
Tito's Handmade Vodka is America's original craft vodka.
And then at 32 years old, I had my first amateur MMA fight. And I finished the guy in like 2.5 minutes in the first round. I had to walk into my boss's office and tell him I was quitting to start a band with my old friend.
Tito's vodka is probably the best vodka I've ever had. I'm originally from Russia. They call me the Russian.
Visit them at titosvodka.com.
Anthony, you're on the Ron and Fez Show. What's your big philosophy?
Hey guys, I always wished that I ended up watching this movie like earlier in my life. The line is, act like wherever you are, that's the place to be.
And I know it is. It's Fast Times,
Yep.
Ridgemont High, and it's like, this is great.
Yeah, and it always occurred to me, was like, dude, if you act like that, you're never going to be unhappy wherever you are.
But it is incredibly, and I've always remembered that line too, just for myself, because it is true. You're doing pretty fucking great wherever you are. If your car is broke down next to the road, that is at least an experience.
Yeah.
It can be up to you. You're stuck in the DMV. What are you going to do with that time? The whole thing is, when people say I'm bored, what?
Yeah.
You're on the planet Earth. You're one of the few living, thinking things in the entire universe. If you can't find something to do, it seems like you're fucked up. 866 Ron Zero Fez. 866 Ron Zero Fez. Tom in Oklahoma, you're on the Ron and Fez Show.
Hey, Ronnie D. This is Tom the Cop in Oklahoma. How you doing?
Hey, how you doing, my friend?
All right. Hey, first of all, that phone screener guy, he's the best one I've ever talked to. He's real pleasant, real nice, real good screener. But one of my things I've always lived by, got me through 20 years in the Army, is to always do the right things, even when no one is watching, because they usually are.
Now, when do you always feel like you're doing the right thing and when you're not doing the right thing?
Well, like when you're, I'm reverting back to the Army again, when you're doing a task that you're by yourself and you know it needs to be done, and you can cheat and get it done quick, or you can do it the right way the first time. And I've always tried to do it the right way the first time, and avoid a lot of extra work later on.
All right. I appreciate it, my man. That reminds me of this Buddhist thing that I read one time, which was the basic philosophy was chop wood, carry water, right? That if you do those simple household things, chopping wood, but doing it as well as you can, carry water, and you do it right, you're kind of in step with the universe, your higher power, your version of God. By doing your simple chores with the right intentions, you find a place in peace. And I was always curious about that until this year when I took up cooking. And now, one of the favorite parts of my day, every fucking day, is preparing the food. That thing is even more than the cooking part, which I used to love to grill, and I thought that was cooking, but this thing now of dicing and getting everything together,
it's therapeutic.
I don't even know why, but it's just such a really great part of the day. And then I always go back to that piece that I read when I was a kid, and I'm like, damn, I wonder why I couldn't get it then. But now I think I know, if we did it today, it would probably be called wash dishes, vacuum the living room. But you know what I mean? Like, you can sometimes find those things to be very peaceful. Or if you're the type of person to keep a list and you're just checking them off, as the day goes along, you're like, oh, that's another big victory for the home team.
Yeah.
Picking up on it. We like to do this every Thursday, and it's called Living Like Tito. And the big part of this for us is finding that place of making it a better life. Let's move over here to Paul in Tampa. You're on the Ron and Fez Show. Paul in Tampa. Let's move on again. Let's go to Chris in New Jersey. Chris, New Jersey.
Yeah, Ronnie, I got this quote that an old football coach told to me in high school, and it's kind of stuck with me. I'm not sure where he got it from. But the quote is, the reason most people fail instead of succeed is that they trade what they want most for what they want at the moment.
Huh.
All right, I want to give that one some thought because, you got to be pretty goal-oriented. But at the same time, I think you need goals inside that goal. You know what I mean? Like, I would hate to have the goal of, in 5 years from now, I'll finally feel good.
I think it's kind of like what you want most, like, the higher, the better things in life, like, having a family or like, being happy and being able to do what you want versus like in that moment wanting to do whatever. Like if they interfere with each other, I think.
Well, you were telling me your hopes and dreams.
Yeah.
And one of them you said is to finally do it with a black dude. Now, that is gettable. That's something that you could do and do today. You could get that off your list.
Look across the hall.
And then, as you put it, teach your mom a lesson. You know what I mean? Because you get it like one, the amazing fun that you're going to have having the sex, and then two, the look on your mom's face when she finds out.
Look who I was with, Mom.
Yeah.
Oh my
You
goodness.
satisfied? Nah?
Living Like Titos brought to you by Tito's Handmade Vodka. It's America's original craft vodka, distilled 6 times from 100% corn and naturally gluten-free. Visit TitosVodka.com. Handcrafted to be savored responsibly. Distilled and bottled by 5th Generation Incorporated, Austin, Texas. 40% alcohol by volume.
Here's Turtle in Iowa. Go ahead, Turtle.
Maha, buddy. A few years back, my wife and I, we adopted a kid from foster care. He's African-American. And at times it seems like he would just do things to really kind of purposely get under our skin, like almost being actively stupid.
Right.
And it would get to the point where I would see him just walking down the hall and look for a problem and look for something to jump his shit about. And my mother-in-law said something to me, and it's kind of guided me since then, and it was, don't hunt skinny rabbits. And, just kind of let him do his normal things, and if there's a real problem, a real issue, then you go after it. But don't get on him, day in, day out about every little thing that I was doing.
Yeah.
And if you'll let me, I'll try to outdo Chris Stanley's lyric, and it's, I've been from Tucson to Tucumcari to Hatchapee to Tonopah. Cheers.
Driven every kind of rig that's ever been made. I've never heard "Don't Hunt Skinny Rabbits," but I love that now.
It's like a different version of Pick Your Battles.
Well, but particularly here with the kid, I mean, a lot of Pick Your Battles is one, for me, is always fights that you can't win or don't need to.
Right.
But the thing of, like, when parenting, it's really hard, that balance, and not being the dick parent, and then
Like a
also
nag.
not being the guy who's not paying attention.
Yeah. And how do you feel like you know?
You don't.
In each moment, do you consider, is this like going to be important in the scheme of things, or it's sort of like after, like the reflection thing?
I think with raising kids, and you want to be a mother, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to give you the best philosophy I ever heard in my life. And it comes to us from a little band called 38 Special. And it will always help you when parenting. And that is, hold on loosely. So you got to be there, but you can't be suffocating. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Here's Dan. Dan, you're on the Run of Fez show.
Ron, how you doing? Dan calling. Listen, I was like the C student, and my brothers and sisters were like going to the super private school while I was the total F up and went to like the bust out school. My dad used to tell me C students run the world, kid. And I'll tell you what, Ron, God bless Joe Shields, he was right.
Well, I know the last 2 presidents were pretty much C students, Obama and Bush.
They winged it.
But that's an interesting philosophy. A lot of times, because there's a little more to life than just studying, and it's what you do with it. But I remember Patrice O'Neill in The Unmasked, who brought up that it's the front of the bus kids that end up greenlighting stuff in Hollywood, and that he is the back of the bus kid, and he always felt like they were getting even with him. And now I'm trying to think of another comic. I can't remember the one. We'll have to look it up. Who said you're either pussy now or a pussy later guy when you're younger. When you're gonna get it? 866 Ron Zero Fez. 866 Ron Zero Fez. Let's go over to Paul. Paul, you're on the Ron Fez show.
Hey, Ronnie, how are you, sir?
Good.
Yeah, a philosophy that I learned from my father-in-law a long time ago was it's never so bad that it couldn't be worse.
My mom used to give me, you're lucky enough. No matter whatever came up, you're lucky enough. Fern, you're on the Ron Fez show.
My philosophy is it's better than the alternative.
No matter what it is.
Well, and particularly in growing older.
Yeah.
Because it's better being the alternative. I'd rather be my age than dead.
It's really funny. For some reason, we have this incredible youth culture, right? Where we think that we peak basically in high school. But if you think about it, most civilizations, you were probably dead by the time you were 30, you know? So why would we even think that was the more interesting part of life?
Everything's just been skewed, and I would think now college is replaced high school as the peak years for a lot of people. For the upcoming generations, they'll say college was my years, though that's it. After that, it was all downhill from there.
I think it's because people's values are all a little bit messed up when they say that. Like that you had a great time in college because you were able to kind of party and you were just responsible for your own self. But, I mean, you know, I know that there's a ton of things that I don't know that I'm going to learn as I get older, and that's something that I'm looking forward to. Just like being able to not be crazy all the time.
But also, you hang out with a bunch of weirdos,
yeah,
and you want to get away from them. I mean, that's going to be such a relief for you to get away from the problems, kids.
Yeah, they're constantly on Molly, just going to shows.
Well, her name is Molly, so it becomes really confusing the way you say it. Hey, CJ in California.
Hey, Ronnie, how you doing?
Good.
I'm with you on the Blue Apron thing, man. It really is a great way to ease it. It's just really something I look forward to every night, and nobody else around here appreciates it, but it's something that I do for myself. You know, I've owned my own business for 20 years. I don't know what it's like to work for somebody else. I kind of always been fly by my own rules. But my basic philosophy is to see things as they really are. A lot of people, they want to put things, they want to make them bigger than they are. They want to put a lot of drama into just everyday things. And I think you just have to see everything as it really is, and you'll see that not everything is terrible, and it never turns out the way you fear it's going to. And also, progress equals happiness. You got to keep progressing in anything. I don't care, personal life, business, social.
What kind of business you have, CJ?
What's that?
What kind of business you have?
I own an energy drink distribution business.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got vans out on the road all over California, and it's very competitive and it's very cutthroat, but it's mine. You know, I own the distributorship, and I'm my own boss. And man, it's I don't know how people can work for somebody else. You know, after you've worked for yourself. I
don't know.
I would never be able to work
for my
for somebody
bosses.
else.
That's for sure. I don't know how I'm doing it. CJ, you're going to pick up a win today. I love the story, and it is true that when it comes down to some of that stuff, I can't believe how many times I'll act like things are bigger than they are.
Yeah.
I'm the type of person that if I'm out at dinner and I see somebody else's dinner looks good, I feel like, well, I just made the most giant mistake in the history of the world, and nothing will ever get better. A lot of times I'll say, take this knife away before I cut my throat with it, because I did not order that veal. I fucked up.
It's just maybe yours will be just as good.
Hindsight is 20/20.
Can I just have a piece then? If it's not, you know what I mean? Can I just have a little bite off of yours? Because I do like to eat off other people's plates. Because I feel like it makes a nice communal night.
I hate that.
You hate when someone eats off your plate?
I mean, you can be like, here's how it works. You offer some of your plate, and then the other person is, oh, no, thank you, but do you want to try mine? That's how you're supposed to do it, not with the extendable fork. That's just not my style.
You know what? You're a tight ass, Molly, and we're really picking up on this. You know what? You're the type of person that counts slices. You ever see that person?
Oh, yeah.
They're counting slices, and they're going, there's 3. All right, there's 3 of us, and there's only 7 slices. Someone's going to get the extra slice. Hey, what should we do? Should we cut that into pieces?
No. I'm not
Eat
cutting
fast through the heat. That's what you got to do to get to that last slice. Be willing to blister the inside of your mouth. That's my philosophy. Hey, JR. You're on the Ron and Fez show. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, doing well, Ronnie B. Proud to be in the hometown of Tito. He's such a inspiration to us Austinites, and he's just a wonderful person. And my philosophy, which he helped shape as well, is gravitate to goodness. And that's when I know that I'm human and I'm going to get out of whack a bit, but I know that if I gravitate and continue to have that pull back towards things that are good, it's all going to be okay. And I challenge myself to see that in others as well. The internet is a crazy place with that now, where just the fights back and forth and the snarkiness there. But even then, I just wish that all of us could assume positive intent and assume that everybody is trying to come from a good place and things, because there is so much to be thankful for in this world, that's for sure. And Tito's is certainly one of them.
Thank you so much, my friend. Let's go over to Brian. Brian in Houston. You're on the Ron and Fez show.
Hey, buddies.
Yeah.
So I was a kid, and I was having some trouble in school. I don't remember exactly what the problem was, but I'm sitting at my desk doing some homework, and you know the old adage, when one door closes, another one opens. And I started thinking about that, so I wrote it down. I said, well, you know, that's not really the thing. The thing isn't when one door closes and the other one opens. It's having the courage to turn around from that door and go find the next one. And I wrote that down. I put it up on my wall, and my mom came in a few hours later, and she goes, "Who wrote that?" And I said, "Well, I did." She goes, "That's pretty good." And so I go, "Well, now I'm 13 years old. I can't write philosophy, but much like Hard Rock Johnny's ironic finding a philosophy and a fortune cookie thing, I keep that thing with me pretty much wherever I go, and just kind of live my life that way, you know."
I appreciate it, dude. 866-RON-0-FEZ. 866-RON-0-FEZ. Here's Joel in Boston. You're on the Ron and Fez show.
Hey, buddy. I have a background, I guess, in finance, if you would. I went to college for it, and the only job I ever got fired from, I failed my Series 7 twice. And I thought the world was over, so I ended up getting a job in retail, actually, for a big luxury house, probably the biggest in the world. I was there for 7 years. 4 years ago, I started my own luxury handbag and leather goods company. It's all hand-stitched, so and all one of a kind. I meet with the client directly, and we design exactly what they want together, and it's one of one. I never make the same thing twice. And I just got a really cool story picked up by Forbes, which really make things starting to roll now, so it's pretty cool.
A story about your business in Forbes?
Yes, sir.
What's the title of it? We'll go look it up.
My name is Joel, Joel Storella, S as in Sam, Torella.
Yeah. And Forbes just put it in this recent issue?
It's online. They did it in May.
All right, we're looking it up now. And but that's got to be amazing to get that kind of bump from Forbes, huh?
Ronnie, it's crazy. It was real. I was so pumped to get it, and it's not for everybody. I mean, a lot of my friends, and I come from a small town, so people think a little bit different of me now just because of the price points. But I can't make more than 10 or 12 pieces in a year. And the clients that I have can shop anywhere in the world, but they shop with me because together we create exactly what they want. I mean, they could go to whatever country and buy whatever they want, but the project I'm working on right now, actually, I work a lot with exotic skins. I have alligator that was actually custom colored for the client's liking. So, I mean, the sky is the limit, and everything's hand stitched, and it's such a dying art. I'm self-taught with the hand stitching aspect. I mean, I've done 12 years now of trial and error and trying to figure things out on my own, and here I am today. And coming from a corporate background to doing this every day, what I love, every day is like a gift.
Joel, I'm looking at your $11,000 backpack. That is fantastic.
It looks cool.
This is, first of all, you're a big winner today because this is literally living like Tito.
Yeah.
Because what I love about it is you found a market where one doesn't exist. You know what I mean? Like, that market wasn't there before, and now it's yours, and yours alone. That's fantastic, dude.
Thanks, Bodie. It's not like I'm driving a Ferrari or anything, but it's one step at a time. And if I can just live and be happy, that's really all that I want.
All right, bro. I'm gonna send you into the big ass prize closet for living like Tito. These are my favorite kind of stories. Always. A guy in a small town making leather goods for people all over the world. The weird thing is, like, he didn't even have to leave his small town, but then he's got to show his neighbors. Here's something.
Check it out.
You guys want to buy one?
Yeah. I mean, the only thing I could think of that I'd fill up with that was gold bricks. There's nothing I would think, what am I going to do with the $11,000 backpack?
You guys want to finance this backpack? I have options.
Here's Matt. Matt, you're on the Run and Fez show.
Hey, Ronnie.
Yeah.
Yeah, happiness is a choice. I got told that. I was going through a shitty time in my life. Just kind of ended up being a dickhead. And when I finally realized that it was my choice to be happy, everything started going good.
I admit this, though. I do need a certain amount of asshole time a day of just being a fucking negative little bitch. I try to do that away from people. Some days here at work, I do it very loudly in front of people. But I do feel like, you do want to experience all the emotions. Chris, how much time do you think you find in assholeness?
Oh, of my own assholeness?
Yeah.
Most of the time. I feel like I'm a dick most of the time. But also,
we get at least 3 hours a day of it.
Yeah, you are. The time you're on the air. And the way you talk to your listeners is awful.
They attack me.
Here's TJ. Do you know who else says that?
All right.
You found the philosophy of Phil. Fez. TJ, go ahead.
Hey,
By the
Ronnie, how
way,
you
people
doing?
are asking where to see some of this stuff. Go to joelstorella.com. joelstorella.com. And check that out. It's really, really cool stuff. Beautiful stuff. Also, we linked the Forbes article on Twitter if you'd like to see that. Go ahead, TJ. You're up.
Hey, Ronnie. How you doing?
Good.
Good. I got something for you and Fezzy both. As far as Fezzy, when things are going bad, and I know you do it, you look up, you go, what can go wrong next? Quit doing that. I quit doing it. Things got better. And, Ronnie, I know you're a good parent, but you won't know you're a good parent until your children grow up, move out, and become themselves. If they're good, that's the day you'll know you're a good parent.
It is. There's so much truth to that you just really have. I honestly find most parenting just to be luck. You know what I mean? When I see what some people have to go through, I'm like, I would have failed miserably because I'd have knocked that fucker out quick.
Is it true that parents wait for the day when their kids say, like, you were right, thank you?
No, I don't think it's. I think they're far too exhausted to hear that,
They're not waiting for anything anymore.
I think that you can find out if you're a good parent once those kids start to have their own kids and the direction that they go in, because you want them to improve even upon what they were taught. It's a weird deal. It's a weird deal to be a parent. It's a weird deal to be a child too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a weird thing to have parents. I always thought of this too. Like, you ever go home for Thanksgiving and you're like, Is there anything other than family that would get this weird group of people where there's old people, young people, there's babies, there's awful people that you wouldn't want to hang, you know what I mean? You would never have anything to do with, and then you're like, yeah, I'd hide them from the cops. You know what I mean? Like, no matter what comes up, that weird link that you have.
Just people that you have literally nothing in common.
But you know what always kills me is the people who go out and find family when they're adults. Like, I was watching this thing. Who's the guy who did the catchphrase, "Are you ready to rumble"? He's the
Michael Buffer.
All right. Well, his brother also was a ring announcer for the other league,
For UFC.
and they didn't find each other until they were adults. They're completely tight now. They seem terribly different than each other. There was just something done on one of the sports programs. But what killed me was two guys, probably in their 40s, didn't know about each other, found out that they were brothers, and became incredibly close. Like, I gotta be around my brother. You know what I mean?
No.
Like, that's my brother there. You're like, what is it about family? You know?
Yeah.
Look how mean your sister treats you. She's awful to you.
She's all messed up all
But
the
you
time.
love her, right?
Yeah, I do.
Even though, who's made you cry more than her?
No one.
Who's physically hit you more than your sister?
Not a soul in this
Isn't that the weirdest thing?
I used to hate that. I used to think that it, like, because you talked about this last summer. Remember you talking about how it's kind of like a Ponzi scheme. That the people at the top say family's the most important thing, and then all the young kids think, like, well, I got to drive Aunt Judy because family's the most important thing.
Right.
And then eventually it's you at the top. But then I don't think it's as linear as that. I think it can also go, like, in sort of a web.
In what way?
Like, I think, when I'm up at college in Boston, I have family, like really distant family out there, and they'll take me to dinner. They'll let me do my laundry at their place. I think that, it depends on the family and it depends on the person, and it also depends on where you are.
Now, it's funny that you said that. I remember when I was like 10 or 11 years old, my parents put me on the plane. They sent me to Mississippi to be with family. This wasn't really even family, right? A woman had married my grandfather years before. My parents hadn't even met her till my grandfather had died. So I go to see these people that are essentially strangers, but linked through this one thing. They couldn't have been nicer to me.
Yeah.
The world couldn't have been more different. Like, Mississippi and Philly were like two different planets in those days. Like, I showed up at a place going, whoa, is this how people live? This is the way they talk, the way they eat, the way they interact. But I was thinking, like, this odd sort of bravery. My parents going, yeah, we're going to send them over to you. We'll see. Yeah, you'll put them back on the plane, send them back here in a couple of weeks. It's so strange, and yet, it couldn't have worked out for me any better. These people were like family to me.
Yeah.
It's weird that we worry more now than, certainly they did back in those days. Nathan, you're on the Ron and Fez show.
Hey, how's it going, Ron?
Hey.
I have not actually executed it yet, but it's coming up real soon. Basically, I've been selling herb for the last 10 years, and I wanted to do comedy and started about 3 years ago.
Did you say you've been selling herb?
Yeah.
Okay, so you've been dealing pot, and now you want to pursue comedy.
Well, I've been doing it for the last 3 years. I opened up for DeRosa and a few other decent people.
Yeah.
And things have been progressing well, and I finally decided to go ahead and cash it all in. I sold all my contacts and everything, and liquefied everything, and I'm leaving in August to do it full time.
Where you going, L.A.?
No, Jersey. Gonna live in Hoboken with a buddy of mine who's like the only black comic in town. He's been doing it for like 5 years, and got to roll the dice to play the game.
Well, here's the thing, though. This works out kind of great. Is you can pursue both these things. You can be a stand-up and continue to sell herb.
It's hand in hand.
I know. I've done it for a while, but the thing is, I'm there's only so much I'm able to do in the area that I'm in, and I want to have a lot. I want to be able to do like 5 mics a night and stuff like that.
Do you know a lot of New York comics?
I've met quite a bit. Yeah.
Okay. When you get to town, get in touch with us, and we'll bring you in, okay?
Okay. Shelby got my name wrong, so that's great, too. So
Shelby, stop fucking up,
what
dude.
No, it's actually a good fuck up in this case.
Yeah. All right, make sure you bring a taste for Chris.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, you know, hey, Pepper Hicks, I'm bringing all kinds of treats for you, baby.
Yeah.
All right.
And there's mail. You never know. You never know. There's mail.
FedEx.
You know? Yeah, FedEx stuff.
DHL.
Mm-hmm.
Is that
So, yeah. You guys are awesome, and thanks for taking my call.
All right. And maybe you should write some stuff. Maybe this would be great, is to tell your story, write it up, and we'll put it on the iBang. That'd be really, really cool. Here's Chris in Atlanta. Chris, you're on the Run and Fez show.
Hey, how's it going, Ronnie?
Send them. Yeah.
Hey, so I'm in the business of high-end consumer electronics, many of which I cannot afford myself, and two philosophies that are related to one another that have helped me to be successful is to never sell out of your own pocket, and price is only an objection in the absence of value.
All right, now explain to people what never sell out of your own pocket means.
Just because you can't afford the item that you're selling doesn't mean somebody else can't or that they don't want it.
All right, dude. I love it. Thank you so much. Here's Bradley in Buffalo.
Hi, Ron and Fez.
Yeah.
Would you like to hear my philosophies first or after my story?
Well, tell your story first.
Okay. Well, I got a job at a cancer research facility, and I was working there for about 3 or so years. I was working down in cage processing where they assemble cages for the mice and stuff.
Uh-huh.
And I kept telling my bosses I'm interested in working with the animals because that's what I went to school for. And one day my boss came down and said, "You still interested?" And I said, "Yeah." And he took me up to work with the woodchucks. And I did such a good job working with those animals that they kept me on, and I've been working with them for another 3 years.
Now, what do you do with the woodchucks?
I clean their cages, I feed and water them, and I check them for any abnormalities or anything like that.
And what's the philosophy you got out of that?
My philosophy is from Mr. Derek Note, be nice to animals.